Week in Astrology video forecast. This is episode number 7 for the week of April 14, 2014. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm Benjamin Bernstein of astroshaman.com, coming to you from Asheville, North Carolina. I'm an astrologer, shamanic healer, and awakening activator, and it's my pleasure to bring you these weekly astrology forecasts. Let's get an overview of what is new this week. A powerful lunar eclipse empowered by all 4 asteroid goddesses highlights an extremely potent week. The Mercury sideshow to the impending cardinal Grand Cross peaks early in the week, while Jupiter's hard aspects to Pluto and Uranus begin 4 days of supreme intensity, or so I'm calling them anyway. This extraordinary series of events climaxes with next week's peak of the cardinal Grand Cross, 2014's most powerful astrological alignment. Yes, you have tuned in at a very auspicious time, dear viewer. As if that wasn't enough for 1 week, we also have Venus aspecting most of the Grand Cross planets, the Sun entering Taurus, and a powerful Grand Trine beginning a 2-month run. Wow, I don't usually get to talk about so much great stuff all in 1 week. And because there are so many major events in this week's forecast, I will not be talking about routine lunar events that I usually do, such as the moon's conjunctions, vorticourse moons, and sign entries. If you want that info, you can check out my audio podcast at thisweekinastrology.com, where I do go into that level of detail. I usually do it here on the forecast on the video, but not this week. There's just too much else to cover. So, let's get going on our daily forecast details. On Monday, April 14th, we open with Mercury square Jupiter. Mercury is at 13 Aries, and Jupiter is at 13 Cancer. Actually, this is one event that's part of a larger pattern. The other event is a Mercury-Uranus conjunction, and that's happening with both planets around 13 degrees Aries. So in terms of the larger picture, Arian Mercury is actually making 5 aspects this week, and 4 of them are connected to the tightening cardinal Grand Cross. And that, of course, the Grand Cross itself peaks on April 22nd. Now, last week I said that this Mercury sideshow opens the door to mental breakthroughs, original thinking, and the transformation of beliefs that no longer serve. The Mercury sideshow peaks today, Monday, and ends on April 17th. Now, 2 of Mercury's exact Grand Cross alignments happen today. Considered by themselves, Mercury square to Jupiter amplifies mental energy. This obviously has its benefits, but be careful not to talk too much or be overwhelmed by excessive mental chatter. And I have an invocation that can help you with that. If you just speak to your inner divine and say, maximum peace of mind that serves highest good, please. And then you actually rest passively in the breath and let it come to you. You'll be amazed what might come in terms of increased peace. The key is to stay passive, not try to help, and just let it come to you. More invocation on all my invocations is at astroshaman.com. You can just go to the home page. Right at the top of the sidebar, there's a purple banner. It says Heal and Awaken Invocations. Click that and it'll take you to the section where that's all described. Now, back to Mercury. Mercury's conjunction to Uranus can help you think more originally and increase your intuitive flashes. So what's the difference between an intuitive flash and a regular thought? That distinctive feeling of absolute certainty when an intuitive flash pops in. A lot of times there's somatic stuff too. You get tingles or goosebumps, or your body is giving you some sort of signal. This is not some ordinary thought. This is a text message from God coming in. So that's Mercury square Jupiter and conjunct Uranus. Also today, Pluto turns retrograde, and it's going to stay retrograde through September 22nd. Outer planet retrogrades usually run about 5 months. While it's going backwards, you can reflect on the key Pluto themes: power, the occult, sacred sexuality, and transformation. On Tuesday, April 15th, first off, make sure your taxes have been filed if you live in the U.S. In terms of astrology events, Mercury square Pluto is up first. Mercury is around 13.5 Aries now. Pluto is around 13.5 Capricorn. This square between these 2 planets is the Winged Messenger's 3rd line-up with the cardinal Grand Cross. Considered by itself, this aspect encourages a bold mental foray into deep thought and the unknown realms. Ooh, that sounds so mystical. Then we have a lunar eclipse, the week's headline event. This is occurring at 3:42 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. and it's lining up with the moon in Libra at 25 degrees 15 minutes. This kicks off an immensely powerful 8-day astrological period, peaking in what I'm calling again the 4 days of supreme intensity. Sounds like it came out of China, that name. Anyhow, those days are April 20 through 23rd, and that's again 20th through 23rd, in case I didn't say that correctly. And it's mostly grand cross-related events during those days. And we'll start to get to those on Sunday, actually. But let's stay on Tuesday for the moment. The power of a lunar eclipse, which can be thought of as a full moon on steroids, is partly determined by how close the luminaries are to the lunar nodes. In this case, they're about 3.5 degrees away, which is quite tight. You can actually have an eclipse when the luminaries are up to 18 degrees away from the nodes. So you get a sense of how tight that is. With the moon in Libra, contemplate how the themes of relationship, creativity, balance, and fairness are operating in your life. Release what does not serve you and make appropriate adjustments. Now, one of the things that makes this eclipse special is that it only aspects the asteroid goddesses, and it aspects all 4 of them. I haven't seen this before. Ceres, Vesta, and Juno are conjunct the luminaries, while Pallas Athena sextiles the moon. Now, even this distinction between the asteroid goddesses is significant. The 3 conjoining the sun and moon are more receptive, while Pallas Athena is the warrior of the group. I like to say she's the asteroid goddess who kicks butt and takes names. The others are more feminine. So, this special focus on receptivity suggests staying open to the energy, wisdom, and consciousness within you. The cardinal grand cross that peaks 1 week from today is much more about the masculine attributes of assertiveness, new beginnings, and energizing action. Blending the masculine and feminine, being guided and empowered from within as you take bold action in the world, can help you take the wisest action in the most harmonious way. Now, what about the Sabian symbol for this lunar eclipse? It is an eagle and a large white dove turning constantly into each other. This image reinforces the theme of masculine-feminine balance suggested by the asteroid goddess aspects. The eagle is widely perceived as bold and assertive, while the dove is associated with the receptive quality of peace. The image of them constantly turning into each other in a shape-shifting aerial ballet implies a blending and balance of the feminine and masculine polarities. May it inspire you to achieve this balance within yourself. On Wednesday, April 16th, we have Mercury opposing Mars. Mercury, 16 Aries now. Mars at 16 Libra. This opposition between these 2 guys completes Mercury's exact aspects to the cardinal grand cross. Considering only the opposition, we can say avoid warlike words while freeing your mind to venture in bold new directions. Next up, we have Mars quincunx Chiron. Mars is at 16 Libra. Chiron is at 16 Pisces. Getting your emotions triggered by someone close to you is one possible manifestation of Chiron's quincunx to Libran Mars. Fortunately, the same aspect can also promote relationship healing when the right adjustments are made. On Thursday, April 17th, we open with a Venus-Jupiter trine. Venus, 13 Pisces, Jupiter, 13 Cancer. Now that Mercury has finished aspecting all 4 planets in the cardinal grand cross, it's Venus's turn! But since she's connecting from a mutable sign, her aspects will be significantly less challenging. Venus begins with a flowing trine to Jupiter, which can expand and harmonize relationships, creativity, and finances. With Venus in Pisces, this aspect can also support moving into a deeper relationship with your divine self. And since we're dealing with the 2 classic benefics in old-style astrology, Jupiter is the greater benefic and Venus the lesser benefic, when they get together with a harmonious aspect like a trine, it's just plain lucky. So, be lucky. On Friday, April 18th, we open with Venus again in action. This time she's sextile Pluto. Here Venus is around 13.5 Pisces, Pluto's around 13.5 Capricorn. Venus's grand cross aspects continue with this sextile. This invites the harmonious transformation or release of all that does not serve you in all the realms represented by Venus: relationship, creativity, and finance. It also brings fresh power to everything that's already going on in these areas. On Saturday, April 19th, we open with Mercury again in action. This time he's quincunx Saturn. Mercury, 21.5 Aries, Saturn, 21.5 Scorpio. This is Mercury's fifth aspect this week, which for once has nothing to do with the cardinal Grand Cross. You can break through any restrictions you're experiencing in your thinking or expression by acting as your own final authority and adjusting your approach. Next up, we have Venus quincunx Mars. This is Venus at 15 Pisces and Mars at 15 Libra. Relationship adjustments may be helpful with this aspect. It can also energize creative expression if you prioritize it. Also today, the Sun enters Taurus, radiating stability, sensuality, perseverance, and just beingness. You can tune into the energy to help ground you during the 4 days of supreme intensity that start tomorrow. On Sunday, April 20th, the 4 days of supreme intensity kick off as two of the aspects forming the cardinal Grand Cross come exact. The energy of revolutionary transformation goes into overdrive as Jupiter squares Uranus and opposes Pluto. Major aspects both. Now take advantage of this extreme stimulation of the Uranus-Pluto square with my Uranus-Pluto prescription. It's a little involved, so I'm not going to go into it heavily here, but if you'd like to link to it, when you go to the forecast on my website for this day, you will discover that I've got links there to the February 12th Jupiter-Uranus-Pluto interpretation that I wrote, and there's also a link to a brief video I did for the spring forecast where I give that as well. Oh, what the heck. I'll just give it to you now in very concise form. With Pluto involved, and this is super Cliff's Notes, release everything that does not serve you in all areas of life. If you're willing to surrender and be an instrument of divine service, do so. You'll get more power that way. Avoid becoming megalomaniacal and wanting everything your way. It's not my will be done, it's thy will be done. With Uranus in the game, 3 things to remember. Be the unique, distinctive individual you came here to be as a human being. Follow your intuitive flashes, and if you are so called, use your special gifts to serve the greater good. These will help you avoid the negative manifestations of Pluto and Uranus, which kick in when you don't do those things. Pluto can destroy things and make transformation real intense and challenging. The more you hold on to what you don't need, the tougher it gets. And Uranus can make you nervous and irritable and just sort of high electricity tension kind of vibe, really nervous, if you're not individuating and following your intuitive flashes and potentially serving the greater good. So that is my Uranus-Pluto prescription in a nutshell. And again, for a more detailed analysis of all that, go check out the links on the forecast on my website, astroshaman.com. All right, so in addition to Jupiter opposing Pluto and squaring Uranus, we have this Sunday Venus conjunct Chiron, both planets, right around 16 Pisces. While Grand Cross-related events may be grabbing the headlines, this Venus-Chiron conjunction in Pisces more quietly opens the door to relationship healing and creative mentoring, especially if they involve spiritual modalities. That's the Pisces part. And today, we also have 2 grand trines kicking in. Not 1, but 2! Wow! These would be headline events in a normal week. Now they're just afterthoughts. Okay, so even as the cardinal Grand Cross approaches its peak, another major aspect pattern begins a slow rise to prominence. This water grand trine, composed of Jupiter, Chiron, and Saturn, will peak on May 20th and end on June 24th. Now, a grand trine is a very different beast from a grand cross. All they have in common is the word grand. A grand trine is an equilateral triangle, with all planets connecting smoothly and automatically. The squares and oppositions of a grand cross get up in your face, insisting on decisions and action. But a grand trine's planets connect so easily, they sometimes slip by unnoticed. This grand trine features Chiron, the wounded healer, aspecting the social planets Jupiter and Saturn. This provides assistance for mentoring and healing. With Chiron in Pisces, spiritual healing and mentoring receive special support. Family healing, Jupiter in Cancer, and mentoring in the hidden mysteries, Saturn in Scorpio, also get extra juice. Now, because of the grand trine's subtlety, you could easily miss out on these helpful energies. So, mine the trines, as my beloved mentor Kelly Lee Phipps used to say, to take advantage of this 2-month opportunity. And how about a quicker grand trine that you can deal with in a week? Well, this one also has Jupiter and Saturn, but Venus is the third player here, and it only lasts a week, as I said. In fact, it peaks quickly like tomorrow on Monday, so jump on it while you can. It ends on April 26th. This aspect pattern will help offset some of the most intense effects of the cardinal Grand Cross by contributing flowing support for relationships, creativity, and finances. So that's this 7 days, but next week, whoa, I mean, it's the most powerful week of the year just because the Grand Cross is peaking. But what else is happening? Well, individual components of the Grand Cross are coming exact. So what's happening next week? Another Uranus-Pluto square, number 5 of 7, in this 4-year process of these two going at each other, creating revolutionary transformation. In addition, other components of the Grand Cross coming exact next week are Mars squaring Jupiter, Mars opposing Uranus, and Mars square Pluto. And the T-square that's one part of the Grand Cross, that's an equilateral triangle with Mars, Uranus, and Pluto, comes to its peak next week also. So a lot happening in Grand Cross land. Now, in other news, next week we'll be talking about Mercury entering Taurus, Mercury sextile Neptune, Venus trine Saturn, the Sun conjuncting Mercury and sextiling Neptune, and we'll be looking at grand trines and a kite, or rather one grand trine and a kite. A kite is a grand trine with a little tip on it, like an old kite, old-fashioned, like kids used to fly. They may still fly them. I'm not paying attention to that anymore. So that's what's coming up on next week's forecast, whether you watch this video version or the audio version or read it on my blog at astroshaman.com. The information will be there for you. I give it to you every way I can think of. Next will be skywriting. Okay, so thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to my Benjamin Bernstein YouTube channel to be notified when I post new videos like this one. And if you like this video, please share it. I am mentioning too, I just posted a video today of the forecast I gave for all of spring with little mention of the following rest of the year as well. So go to my YouTube channel and you'll see that just went up as well. It's almost a 2-hour video if you want to go deep on what's going on this spring. This free video forecast is a partner project with iTunes' #1 astrology podcast, This Week in Astrology. That's also free. You can get my weekly astrology forecast in writing by subscribing to my free email newsletter at astroshaman.com. Once you're there, you can also link to my Facebook page and Twitter feed where I post daily forecasts. I keep you informed. My personal services include astrology, shamanic healing, and awakening activation. All are equally effective in person or long distance. My guarantee makes my services risk-free. If you don't feel that your experience was helpful, there is no charge. I also offer other great products and services, many of which are free. Learn more at astroshaman.com. Thanks so much for watching. I wish you infinite blessings as the stars light